Hi, good morning. My name's Erin McGuire and I'm just starting off my first YouTube channel. We aren't going to be doing hair here. This is just what I did overnight. I washed it. So what I want to do is have us learning about science and also makeup at the same time, because I tend to do the opposite of everyone. Not intentionally, that's just sort of how my life turns out. So I know a lot about science and a little bit about makeup, and I'm sure there's some of you in that same boat. So what I want to do is just work with what I have and give you little tips that I am learning along the way. What I want to do is give you access to things you might not otherwise have access to, or it might not be a high priority to spend $15 to read a scientific paper. When there are so many other things that are more important these days. So I want to talk about makeup and the science behind it. So I've been pulling all of these articles and I'm beginning to realize how huge the pool of makeup information is. You have history of makeup, you have chemistry of makeup, it's just immense. So I'm gonna narrow it down and maybe just talk about one or two articles and just some really interesting stuff that I was able to find while I do my makeup and give you a tip or two so we can learn together. So I'm just gonna use what I already have. Like some of these palettes are just so beautiful. Honestly, like I have two and I don't know, they were $80 each. I'm in Canada. So this one is beautiful. This is like almost $200. Like, what are we doing here, really? So I have two, and then I have more of a generic one with just, I've obviously dipped into this, just very neutral. I've used this a lot. This is my go-to. I feel like people have sort of that range. They'll have something neutral, they'll have something with more coppers and ambers, and then maybe a fun palette. Black eyeliner. Not a ton. This is sort of my travel kit. I have more at home. I don't know what's in it. Right now I'm in Whistler, BC, and I have family in Vancouver, so I was raised there, and I live in Kelowna. So the background's going to be changing. This little buddy comes with me. I found him this summer. He doesn't have a name. Let's think of one together, because I really want to give it a name, but I can't think of one. All right, so let's get started. So here's your first YouTube tip. Tilt the mirror down. Beautiful palette. I'm going to use that one there. And the first makeup tip I'm going to give you before I dive into the science of things is, if you're using a really pigmented palette like I've realized this one here is, put your eyeshadow on before you deal with any of this, because it is going to crumble. I've really noticed with the melt palettes, I mean, I only have two, I'm not an expert, but the color you see is the color that's gonna show up. So if you're trying to blend it and you're trying to make it that nice sheer sort of blendy, it's not gonna work. Like, that's the color. That's the color on your lid. Like, that's what you see is what you get. So it does get mixed reviews. I've noticed people not liking that it doesn't blend down into that sheer sort of look, but it's just, I guess that's just what we're working with. Also, I'm gonna put this up because my waves do not last very long. They're gorgeous for about an hour maybe, and that's it. So we're gonna save that for walking around in the village later. So this is gonna be quite a challenge for me, actually, because I am in Whistler, BC. I'm on vacation. I don't have a mirror. So it's gonna be through here. I have it front facing so I can see a little bit what I'm doing, or I'm gonna be doing my makeup in this. Canada, yes, we are in Canada, and I have a green wall in my Airbnb. All right, so if any of you think that, YouTube is a rabbit hole for just everything, that is what it's like on Web of Science, except for it's all papers. So extremely dry. So I'm going to take that for you and I'm going to bring it out on the other side, and hopefully you find some interest in that. So I'm more scared about trying this makeup palette the way that Bailey did. I will link the video below. She's fantastic. I think she's very wonderful and gorgeous, and I love watching her stuff. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Give me tips if you see I'm doing anything horrifically wrong, but other than that, we're just gonna jump right into it. Let's get there. Alright, so as I was on the Web of Science, I basically just, I almost said Google. It's not Google, it's Web of Sciencing. I looked up science of makeup, and it took me down this rabbit hole talking about chemistry of makeup, history of makeup. It's just an immensely huge topic. So, let's see, I found this one, and it talks about, the name of it is Symbolic Use of Marine Shells and Mineral Pigments by Iberian Neanderthals 115,000 years ago. So, I don't even have a scope of how long ago that is. Like that, yeah, 115,000 years obviously, but like how many lifetimes is that? A lot. It's a lot of lifetimes ago. So these, you know, Neanderthals are out there, they're already using makeup. And the biggest thing that they found was that they used this mineral. So it's a large, they found large lumps of, I'm gonna butcher this, a large lump of nitrogerosity. Nitrogerosite? That sounds closer. And the only known use of that mineral is the use in cosmetics. There are pigments, and there are little shells that they use to mix the pigments and store them and whatnot. And so they're saying in so many words that, yeah, they use makeup. So 115,000 years ago, they had already realized this. And like, why? Everything is basically linked back to evolution. Anywho, so yeah, these Neanderthals are they're wearing makeup, and like, what is the reasoning behind it? And like I said, everything goes back to evolution and who can get the partner, and everything to do with evolution has to do with, you know, that passing on of knowledge, and who can survive the best, who can mate the most, who can pass on their genes. So anyhow, so why are these Neanderthals doing that? So I pulled up this other article that I really enjoyed. I can find the names. Hold right there. Okay, so this next article is from the Journal of Economic Psychology. I don't think it has a huge impact factor. The impact factor, the higher it is, basically, the more people will see the article. So when I was writing essays, we had to use articles, but they couldn't have an impact factor of less than, say, 7. So this one here, the article is called, "Is the Beauty Premium Accessible to All? An Experimental Analysis." Let me know if you want me to get more into how the experiments were conducted. Okay. Ooh. So anyhow, the Beauty Premium is basically what you get over others when you are more beautiful. So when you are wearing makeup, when you look put together, this exists. Even though, you know, I wish it didn't, it does exist. And essentially the experiment was to see if during a game where there are trustees and there are people responsible for money, so at the end of the game, like, you want to have the most money, do they trust people who are essentially more beautiful? So they took the same woman, this eye is much better, they're not the same. That's okay. One, they found that the woman who was wearing makeup, and it's not a lot different. I don't know if I'm able to take the pictures that they used. I don't think so, because this isn't, I do not believe this is a public access paper, so I don't want to, you know, copyright infringement. But her makeup is very simple from one to the other. Like, you can almost barely tell that she is wearing any makeup. Nothing crazy at all, but they were finding that with the same people, and everything was kept the same. Like, you have to have your variables controlled. What's going on with my makeup here? This isn't looking at all like Bailey's. It's okay. We're gonna blend the unblendable makeup. Hers is so much prettier. Oh, you know what? I don't think she used this color. No, she didn't. Okay. Wow. Oh, yeah. So anyways, anywho, the lady wearing makeup, she was deemed to be more trustworthy. So in essence, she came out on top, right? So she got more money. The conclusion is that female trustees with makeup received larger transfers than female trustees without makeup, even if it was the same person, just with and without. But how that translates back, oh yeah, this is definitely the color she used here. How that translates back to the Neanderthals is that whether or not they consciously knew, I mean, like, they knew. They're taking their valuable time and assets away from, you know, hunting and gathering, to do this. Like, the most important things for them were survival. The biggest things, the essentials, are food, shelter, and sex. So on some level, they knew that if they crush up these pigments, put them on their face, oh wow, this is so uneven, that they would have a better chance of reproducing, getting the mate that they wanted. This is just allegedly, like, super allegedly. It doesn't say it in the article. However, as scientists, they do teach you to, like, go beyond and put things together and take from your training and go forward and learn that way. There is just so much information that's being put out there that, yes, they give you the tools and they, you know, they teach you, they train you, they have you write the essays, the scientific essays and whatnot, but they really are training you how to learn and make these connections on your own. So as you're reading this, you remember from your, there's definitely a ghost back there, science. What they really want you to take out of your training is how to do research and how to make these connections on your own and start putting things together and figuring out where the gaps are so you can go on ahead and do your own experiments. I mean, I'm not going to do that because that's not my passion. I've worked in a lab. Thank you so much. Like I said, I do not have a lot of brushes, so we're just gonna, like, this is one of the brushes I have. So I mean, when you think about it, these Neanderthals had like a very limited amount of time. They don't live that long. I should really have looked up how long they live, but they are taking their precious time, resources, and energy to go to the beach, to get themselves some shells, to find this pigment, to find this mineral, mix them together. Like, can you imagine how much time that would take? Like, these days we just like click a couple buttons, do some research, figure out which has the best reviews and what it says about blending a palette, and it just arrives at our door. But they had to put considerable effort into this, which is like incredible. So it had to have had quite the impact on their life and like what they were doing and their whole, just everything, in order for them to spend that much time on something cosmetic. I feel like Bailey maybe used something underneath that like really popped the color, because her eyes were kind of like lighter and mine is showing up as greener than hers does, but also we'll sort this out as we go. I don't know, I somehow have faith that it's gonna come together, or like, All right, I'm gonna take my own advice and like really pile it on now. I mean, I feel like it looks good on camera from what I can see. There's this other article that I found super interesting, but then as I started, you know, thinking about it more, I feel like it's common sense, but then maybe it's not. Like, it sounds like it makes so much sense. It could have just been a knowledge gap on my part. But it was talking about what makeup does to your perceived age. So if you're in your 20s, it makes you look older. If you're in your 30s, you look your same age. And if you're in your 40s or 50s, it makes you look younger. And at first I was like, wow, that's so cool. Like, yeah, I didn't know that. But then, like, did I? Does it? So I went into this article a little bit deeper. So I mean, like, they're doing research on this stuff. So, I mean, maybe it's not well enough known that they are doing research on it. Like, I mean, the cosmetic industry is absolutely gigantic. Did you know that there are schools that literally have something called cosmetic science? Like, you can take it. You can take a course in cosmetic science. In Canada, I honestly have never heard of it. I know that we have aesthetic schools, but it's not like chemistry or whatnot geared towards cosmetic science. Wow, okay. I mean, I feel like it's not even, but we're gonna keep layering. Oof. Q-tip, my friend. So what they did is they took women aged 20, 30, 40, and 50, and they put different levels of makeup on them. So from none, a couple of different gradations, from minimal to heavy. And they found, just as I said, the older women looked younger and the younger women looked older. Now, they wanted to know why the younger women looked older. They said, well, maybe makeup is associated with adulthood. So that's a fantastic thing about science. Like, once you start your experiment off, it often leads to other experiments or other questions. So they are trying to figure out why the younger women look older. And I honestly think that this is not just one-dimensional. I think there are a lot of reasons why you look older when you put makeup on. So they did an experiment around that. So these subjects, they go shopping, they're taking a bunch of pictures. Obviously, it's all legal and ethical, and they have the permission to do this. And they show these pictures to people. They had some women purchasing, like younger women, teens, purchasing, you know, just toothpaste and whatnot. They would show these pictures to people and say, like, how old do you think this woman is? And even if they were the same age, same beauty, like everything was as controlled as well as they possibly could, they found that the women who were purchasing makeup were perceived as being older. So that's just simply psychology. That's just our words are so. That's just our society, like a societal norm. I mean, I know that I wasn't allowed to wear makeup until I was 13, maybe. Okay. This is Rimmel. I love this. This is great. It's just like a bra for your eyebrows to keep them where they're meant to be. Okay. Mine like to. All right, time to hide these dark circles. Thank you, Italy. Genetics. Maybe we'll do one on that. Let me know what you want to know about. Like, there's literally everything. Like, it's phenomenal. Do you wanna know one on ADD? Because I just had a moment and I forget what I was talking about. So, you guys, I don't know. I lost the plot. But yeah, okay. So there is this one article, and it's called "Paint a Better Mood: Effects of makeup on YouTube, beauty influencers, self-esteem. It talks a little bit about women of color and what the motivation is. And it talks about intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic, my understanding, I'm going off of what I remember, is, so intrinsic is it comes from you, you're doing it because you feel empowered and creative, motivated. What it comes from within, so you're doing it because it makes you feel good, you enjoy doing it. It comes from a more positive place. Extrinsic is to avoid pain. So it's how this article is explaining it. Extrinsic comes from outside influences. So you want to avoid upset, pain, you want to avoid shame or guilt, that sort of thing. Again, let me know if I'm wrong. This is just what my brain sparks in my memory from reading this abstract. Again, science, not perfect, an art. My makeup, not perfect, not yet an art. What they go on to say a little bit in this Paint a Better Mood, effects of makeup use, I put the emphasis on the wrong syllable. So it starts off with saying, 90% of women between 18 and 29 wear makeup. I don't know why they stopped at 29. Heard at 30 we stop existing, but it's a lie. Because here we are. It says that makeup has a more direct influence on your self-esteem if you are internally motivated. So if you're doing it because you're loving it, if it's a mechanism for creativity, like mastery, agency, you do it for human connection, all those things coming from like, I'm feeling good and powerful and I want to feel better and powerful and this is what makes me happy type thing. It has a better boost on your self-esteem. So it's like rich getting richer type idea. It's how I've come to understand it. The other side, so if it's to buffer like a low mood or self-esteem, it's, let's see, what does it say here? That's more of an external. That's to avoid guilt, enhance your ego. What else did they say here? Promote audience confidence. So if you do that, it'll buffer your low mood. It'll make you feel better if you're coming from an external point. So if it's external things that are influencing you, it'll still buffer it, but it won't be amplified. Which I found interesting. Won't get too much into the science of how they did that because, unless you want me to, we'll go back, redo this one day. What I found particularly fascinating is that they even talk about putting on makeup for boosting self-esteem and developing like mental health interventions around makeup. It boosts your emotional happiness and your emotional health. And I didn't get into this article, but I feel as if, feeling in science, how does that work? I feel as if, yes, absolutely, it completely boosts my mood. This is super fun. I am really enjoying it. It's that creative outlet. Like I think people need to have that creativeness. So whether you're into sports, into painting, into makeup has just become so accessible and there's just so much information on it these days, that it's really an accessible form of creativity. And then you get to wear your art for a little while. This is, honestly, I don't know what I'm doing with the powders, okay? I put this one on because it's got some SPF in it and my mother gave it to me. It's Eminence. And then this is just for the shine, I think. I think people also bake with this. Like down the road, once this runs out, I might get a powder with, that's not just like white. Like it's white. It's all about creativity and boosting your self-esteem. What's interesting is at the end of this article, it delves a little bit, and I am not an expert on this, anything to do with people of color. Like, I respect it, and I have a difficult time talking about it because I just don't know what I'm talking about. Like, it took me years to even come on here and do my makeup because I don't really, like, it's not that bad, but I really don't know what I'm talking about. So I don't want to hurt anybody or offend anybody. This is just coming straight from a paper. And even coming straight from the paper, like a scientific paper, they can be wrong, they can be incorrect. It's all in the pursuit of knowledge. I don't know the people who wrote it or what their experience is or what their skin color is. So taking it with a grain of salt, but they talk a little bit of women of color at the end of it. They say that Black beauty influencers, this says, just reading pretty much straight off the article, they noted disparities in pay and salary, and as well as disparities in sponsorships, viewerships, in comparison to young white influencers. And that's pretty much where the article ends. Like, I wish there was more on that. Let me know if you want me to get into the science and see how they did it. Okay, I'm delaying because I'm scared to put my eyelashes on. Even if my eyelashes end up on my eyebrows, we're gonna do the falsies, all right? I know this much, you're supposed to toss it on there, and then before you put it on your eye, you're actually supposed to let it dry off for a bit, otherwise you're gonna be unsuccessful. So we're gonna chill out for a bit, wait for this to dry. Do people play? Maybe one day we'll try that out one day. Okay, so yes. It really bothers me when it's in too far in the inner corner. I mean, maybe I could take a little eyeliner and like try and like, you know, pull that in a bit, but I think it looks all right. If you have a really steady hand, just put a little bit of liner in there. I feel like I would almost rather do that than feel it every time I blink. Okay, I'm gonna go do the other one. You know what? I kind of like it. So let me know what we should talk about next time. Literally, it's limitless. Like, my brain just goes into twists trying to think about what to do for next time, but not because there's not enough, it's because there's so much. We can talk about anything. We can talk about the science of mountain biking. We can talk about science of trees. We can talk about, like, I could probably do 5 years longer with just makeup stuff, science and makeup, and what's going on in makeup now, and the history of it, and all that fun stuff. So there's literally, it's limitless. Let me know what you're interested in. We could talk about like poisons, or we could talk about therapeutic uses of mushrooms. Like, they're using, they're starting to use psilocybins, which are magic mushrooms, in like therapy to help cure people of trauma. So that's something we might get into next time. This is one of my favorite colors. It's called Grim. By Anastasia. I think it's the only, I used to call it Anastasia. I don't know. Is it Anastasia or is it Anastasia? Let me know. I saw this color and I knew I had to have it. I don't know why. Everybody loves it except for my mother. She's lovely. We just don't have the same taste and everything. Ooh, the finale. I'm not doing anything with my hair today. It's still a little wet last night, but this is what we're gonna do. It's gonna last us for like 40 minutes, and that'll be that. So let me know if you liked this, if you did get any value out of it. Please hit subscribe. I would love to learn from you and to see what you want to know more about. And we will get going on this channel. I think we'll do something once a week, maybe every Monday. And yeah, so just hit subscribe if you liked it. And I will be back with you in a week's time with more science and a new makeup tip. Have a beautiful week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye now.